So Isabella Grove House is an addition and alteration to an existing house. The clients are a retired couple, and also to accommodate, they've got quite a large extended family. The site is set in what's known as St James Park precinct in Hawthorn. And this slide, which is relatively recent aerial photo showing the completed works, but importantly, what is interesting is the importance the house has for the street. There's a number of houses of this scale along Isabella Grove, and it has sort of this quality to the streetscape in accordance with or in conjunction with the other houses. So the 19th century MMBW plan shows that it was originally two houses, but in a sense perceived as one. And this undated photograph, although Bryce Rayworth, who was consultant on the project, believes it dates from the late 70s. I think what's important relative to what I'll speak about in a moment is the authenticity or the materiality of the house is quite strong, and you read it in a very particular way. The house in the 1980s was significantly altered by a developer, and by altering it means almost completely rebuilt, and became had a somewhat of a pastiche feel. So all the walls were rendered, meaningless sort of mouldings were placed, and I felt our task was to try to imbue this with a certain textual quality that was sort of now lacking, as well as understanding what our clients needed of the house. So the plan, as we found it, was very different to the original 19th century plan, completely rebuilt from within. There was a basement had been added, and the first floor basically followed over the existing ground floor plan with a large gallery at the entrance. The existing elevation from the street from the north, for all intents and purposes, appears to, as per the original house, but sadly sort of somewhat of dubious sort of authenticity. Some of the photos of the interior, the existing, had a large pool at the rear, indoors. This rather odd first floor terrace to the rear, entry corridor, and then a new staircase in the main entry sort of vestibule. So our aim was to try to retain and ascertain what were authentic original structures or timber work, etc., and retain that for reuse where possible. So our plan really retained the existing front of the house as a more formal living area for the house and private study for the clients. And then there was a deep, large courtyard separating it from the more informal living areas and a kitchen to the south. And there's also a courtyard to the west that was designed to cantilever over a new access ramp, bringing cars down into the basement. We were keen to try to hide the sense of the ramp from the street. So the ramp sort of rises and then drops down underneath this cantilever courtyard. The basement itself was retained in its almost entirety, but the new ramp coming down and a new access stair and lift from the main area of the house. The first floor plan, the front of the house was almost all living bedroom, dressing and bathroom wing for the clients, and then bedrooms and en-suites to the rear for their children. So in a sense, the existing elevation doesn't really change other than the new wings added quite a way back from the house. We were keen to try to set the addition as far back as possible. So from the street, it was sort of, you read the existing house more strongly within the street. From the west, the bedroom wing sort of set back quite a way. And then from the east, this deep courtyard and bedrooms to the south. So the completed works, we chose a natural cement render to both the existing house, but also chose to use it over the additions to create what I was called like a shadowy, ambiguous sort of shadowy effect of the addition in relation to the existing house. And there's a new entrance sequence coming up to the house in bluestone at the front. The courtyard from the west looking north, and then turning around with access to the main gallery and living space to the south. And then this deep courtyard facing east, and the walls were deliberately quite thick to create a perception of depth separating the space from the interior. And two of the main windows upstairs were actually inset windows, so it gave them something of a sort of suspended quality when viewed from outside. Viewing north from the courtyard with the study at the bottom and ensuite bathroom. Viewing back towards the kitchen and the living area and bedroom to the top. And then this daytime shot sort of in a way evincing the quality of the courtyard. It was meant to have an emptiness to it, so that rather than being a space to be occupied, it was deliberately double-storied so that the other spaces would borrow from that emptiness back into themselves. A cloister, and then the clients have a very significant art collection, both paintings and sculptures, so we align views and walkways to have some of these pieces as finishing points, leading back into the more informal section of the house.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. The deep sort of gallery, corridor, the stairwell really was designed to be quite dark, leading into the main bedroom area with concealed skylights. The suspended windows, main ensuite looking back to the gallery, private little ensuite bathroom for night, reusing existing materials where possible, leading through the arches to a powder room, the use of shutters rather than curtains or blinds, and then just leading back to this kitchen area, much like the powder room door, using patinated bronze as a finish, viewing back through to the living area and the prep kitchen. Thank you.